Hi, I'm Rachel Zaleski, your host, and this is Jason Zaleski, our sports expert, and you're watching the Zaleski Sports Show, where we talk about local news, regional news, and national news using hands-on demonstrations, visuals, and statistics. We also bring you easy-to-digest, informational, and entertaining sports information for all sports level fans. So today we are going to talk nationally about the Daytona 500. So this is a fun race with cars and drivers, and it's going to be happening this Sunday, noon Central Standard Time. And I did read a little interesting article from the USA Today that talked about a really tough hitting question. And that question is, what do the drivers do when they have to use the bathroom while they're driving this big long race?
Call a timeout.
Do they? Do they pull over and just go? No, actually. So the article states that the drivers, it does happen once in a while where they overhydrate themselves. They have a little bit too much on the bladder, and they do end up having to urinate while they're in the car. So crazy, isn't it? They just go. And so Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually said, well, when you got to go, you got to go. So they go. And sometimes inside those cars, though, the temperature can reach up to 130 degrees, which does cause them to sweat quite a bit. So it makes sense. They're already wet, so they might as well just keep going.
So you're saying that, Rachel, after the race is done and they're jumping around and hugging everybody, that they may have a little bit of wetness?
Absolutely. It doesn't happen often. It is pretty rare, once or twice maybe in a driver's career, but it is an interesting fact that they do sometimes have to relieve themselves.
Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
Talladega Nights. Jason, go ahead. What can you tell me about the Daytona?
Well, the Daytona 500 is the Super Bowl of NASCAR racing. A little different than football. If you were following football action this year, you know that the Super Bowl is the last event of the NFL season. NASCAR has this label of the Super Bowl, and that is their first race. It's their big kickoff for the year. As Rachel said, it's the Daytona 500. That's a 500-mile race. They make 200 laps, so you do the math. That's 2.5 miles per lap. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's a fun time. It's just a lot of fun watching, hanging out. A good reason maybe to have the family around and check out the cars. There's a lot of science behind NASCAR, and there's a lot of geometry and just math that's going on. It can be a lot of fun for the kids. If you got school-age kids, it's a lot of fun to have them around, and they can help with the math in the cars, fuel averages, and all kind of the way the car is set up with drag and push and yaw and all those things that go along with aerodynamics. And so it's a lot of fun. Check out the Daytona 500, and maybe you'll see your favorite sponsor on the side of a car. Maybe you'll see somebody do some cool burnouts or tear up the grass after they win. That's always a lot of fun to watch too.
Hopefully, unlike Ricky Bobby, they aren't running around on fire, but not really on fire. Okay, that's too much about that. So moving on, who was on fire? They didn't start off on fire, but then they ended up winning their second game. So the Wisconsin Badgers actually lost their first game from playing against Michigan 64-58, but then that was this past Thursday. They did win, though, against Maryland on Sunday, 71-60. So, Jason, what do you think went wrong with Michigan and then right with the Terrapins?
Well, just inconsistent shooting, and it's plagued the Badgers for about as long as I can remember watching Badger basketball during the last, say, 15 years. And one thing the Badgers run into, and teams do, it seems like the Badgers come down with it a little more than some other teams, is that inconsistent shooting and then missing shots for a long period of time. They go on 3, 4, 5, 6-minute dry spells at times, and that can really take a toll on a team, especially a team like the Badgers that plays a little slow, that has more of an emphasis on defense, and so it's a lower scoring game. And when you have those stretches without scoring, that puts real pressure on that defense, and then it ultimately puts pressure back on the offense to try to catch up after having those spells without scoring. And so it can be a real problem, and we've seen that during the year this year again. We'll hope that the Badgers get that figured out by playoff time or by bracket time. And I know we're going to talk about something called March Madness here in just a little bit. But so 2 weeks ago, the NCAA for the first time this year did a selection preview show where they highlighted and called out their top 16 teams, and the Badgers weren't in that. And a lot of the team was upset, and a lot of the fans were upset. As I was talking to folks around, they were upset. How could the Badgers not be in that top 16? That's ridiculous. So what did the Badgers do? Well, they went ahead and lost 2 of the next 3 games after that. So maybe the selection committee is right. We'll see. I know you're going to tell me when the Badgers play next, and then I'll talk a little bit about how seeding and where things stand right now in the college basketball landscape.
So the Badgers play again on the 23rd against Ohio State at 8 p.m. on ESPN. And then after that, they play again against Michigan State on the 26th at 3 p.m. on CBS. So we'll see what the Badgers can do with these 2 next games. But I agree with you, Jason. Maybe there is a reason they were not placed.
Yeah, well, it may be. And so we'll see. The official selections are coming up here in just a couple weeks after conference tournaments are done. Conference regular seasons are winding down, so the Badgers do just have a handful of games left. They're tied with Purdue for first place. Purdue has the tiebreaker right now, so if the season ended today, Purdue would be the Big Ten regular season champions. That may matter a little, though, because I think in years past, the selection committee has proven that they rely a little bit more on conference tournaments to determine selections and that type of thing. Right now, the Badgers look like about a 5 seed to me. If they win the conference tournament, perhaps they could get a 4. They could slide all the way down to an 8 seed as things may play out. So we'll see how they finish up the season and how they enter into that tournament. Right now, number 1 seeds nationwide we're looking at now. So Villanova, Kansas, Gonzaga, North Carolina. North Carolina beat Louisville last night in a pretty close game, but it was a fun game to watch. Villanova lost. They're still a number 1 seed, but they're not the number 1 overall seed. They were just beat by Butler this week. The second time they've played Butler, and they've lost both times. So they've got some learning to do from that game. And then Gonzaga is 30-0. They're undefeated on the year, so they're going to have a top seed no matter what happens. They've got a fairly easy division or conference to play through, and their conference tournament should be pretty simple for them as well. So those are your top seeds right now, followed up by Louisville, Baylor, Oregon, and Duke. If anybody was watching basketball last night, they saw Syracuse at the Carrier Dome, and the Carrier Dome over the years, the home of the Syracuse Orange, has provided a lot of last-minute shots and just a lot of crazy things. It's a big arena that they play football in and they play basketball in. So when they condense that down to basketball size, the myth is that there's a lot of wind circulation and a lot of trickery going on in there. And well, last night Syracuse hit a 3 with 0 seconds left on the clock to beat Duke, and Syracuse probably stamped their place in the tournament last night. Duke may have slid back just a little bit, but they're Duke, and so they'll be in the tournament as well. So
that was a pretty shot. I mean, that kid just was like totally like whoosh, just put it right in. It was so nice. So Jason, speaking of basketball and college sports, so this March Madness, it's just so crazy because everybody gets so out of control with this, and a lot of people really talk about these brackets, and they talk about a lot of words like seeds, divisions, all these things. So why is March Madness called March Madness, and why is it so maddening, I guess? Can you explain?
I'll explain a little bit. I mean, a lot of it's just in the magic of basketball. So we'll bring out the whiteboard here. This is a lot of fun. This will be kind of John Madden style here, all right? So you got March, right? You got the calendar here, and you got March, and you got all the days of March, okay? And then you got me, and you got me standing next to March, and I'm going crazy all the time because of March Madness. And it really has to do with basketball, and just sports in particular, but basketball. There's so many teams. There's over 300 Division I college basketball teams. These days, 68 of the teams make the tournament, and once you get in that tournament, anything can happen.
Did you say over 300?
Nationwide Division I basketball teams, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a big field to begin with, and it gets pared down to 68 teams. And anything can happen. We've got last-second shots. I just talked about one that Syracuse hit last night, and the action's going to ramp up from here all the way on out through March and into the first week in April when they decide the national champion through that tournament. Those last-second shots, the Cinderella stories, teams you may have never heard of, players you've never heard of, they're all making impacts. They're all having such a great amount of fun. and they're hitting those shots, carrying their team to victory, and it is pure madness when these teams all hit the floor, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, lots of terminology, Cinderella story, Sweet 16, Final Four. There's lots of things that we get to talk about in the upcoming weeks, so I'm really excited to learn more. So thank you for that. That was our Sports 101. I hope everybody learned a little bit about what March Madness is all about.
And now with March around the corner, we'll be talking on the Zaleski Sports Show a lot about college basketball. So stay tuned here. Check out our Facebook page, Zaleski Sports Show. Like and subscribe to that, and you can keep up with all the fun madness of March. Absolutely.
So the madness ending here in February. There were some losses and some wins this past week with local sports. So we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about what happened this last week, and then we're going to roll our beautiful bean footage of highlights. But first of all, the Columbus Dons lost against Loyal Friday.
Boys,
thank you. Columbus Dons boys lost against Loyal Friday, 66-60. And then following that Monday, they beat Neillsville 83-45. So Jason, tell me a little more about that game.
Well, so against Loyal, they were Columbus boys, Dons, were the #1 basketball team in the state. They were undefeated coming into that game. Loyal played Columbus tough in Marshfield just a couple weeks ago, and Loyal played tough again that night last week. Hunter Schultz for Columbus was out due to injury, and I think it had a big impact on the game. Loyal's a tough team to play for Columbus to begin with, and when you miss your top scorer, it makes for a real trick, and they weren't able to overcome that trick. So they did go down 60-66. But we look forward to watching the boys play in the playoffs, and I think you're going to mention that game coming up soon.
Absolutely. We have the Columbus girls. They lost against Fall Creek last Thursday, 50-38. Marshfield boys Tigers won both games again for a second week in a row. Now we're up to 6 wins in a row. They beat on the 17th. They were against Wausau West, and they beat them 58-48. And on the 20th, they were against Mosinee and beat them 75-64. So way to go, boys Tigers! You guys are really
heating up at the right time.
Absolutely. Girls Tigers lost in overtime against Wausau West, 61-59 last Thursday. So
highlights of that coming up.
Yep, we were at that game, and that brings me then to our beautiful bean footage of sports.
Well, check out some of those highlights, and we'll see the experience that we had.
Here's the Zaleski Sports Show, joined by Coach Konieczny here in Loyal after the game tonight. Columbus goes down tonight 60-66 here against the Greyhounds. Coach, thoughts on the game? I guess I'll just kind of turn it over to you right away. A tight game, especially coming down the stretch. Emotions got high. You're kind of seeing the effects of the season really come down on this game. What were your thoughts there? Stories going back and forth. How are you keeping your wits about you at that point?
I think we had a lot to adjust in 2 days. We lost Hunter Schultz on Tuesday, and he's not going to be back until the playoffs. So he's going to be gone for 3 more games. We'll get him back to regionals hopefully. But we had to adjust some things on the fly in that first half. Cost us. We were down 34-22. Offensively, we were a little hesitant, didn't really find the rhythm. Second half, we were much better. When we came all the way back and took a lead, maybe ran out of gas. Just 2 or 3 possessions that second half where we didn't get the shot we wanted on offense, or maybe the coach needs to be a little bit better as far as how prepared we are those last 2.5 minutes, especially on a possession where you're down 1, down 2, some situation stuff that we didn't do well late. And a lot of that's Hunter's out too. He's a big part of our offense. He scores 24 points a game, and we tried to replace that in a day and a half, and it just didn't work. So I saw some guys grow, and I think when he does come back in 2 weeks, we're going to be better for tonight. These guys had to fill his shoes a little bit.
Yeah, definitely a little bit different looking team out there tonight without Hunter. Again, you said it, Coach, 34-22 at halftime. A lot of your games, Coach, this year, that's been a half of the first half kind of score. So slow going in the first half. Again, Coach, back to the emotions. Actually, you and Coach Love had a chat with the referee a couple times during the game. In a close game like that, close calls are happening. Just kind of maybe talk us through what those conversations are like, and where you're going with those conversations as it pertains to your team and on the floor.
You never mean to be disrespectful. You know, sometimes you want to know why a certain call was made, and you know, they have a tough job too. But as far as the job they did tonight, I really have no comments.
Okay, yeah, good. All right, Coach, Tyler Furren there again led the way with 17 points. At times, Coach, he looked a little bit out of his game. Would you say that's a lot to do with Hunter, or more to do with the loyal defense tonight?
I think we put too much pressure on him tonight. He was trying to do the job with him and Hunter a little bit too much, so we got to help him get the ball up. It can't just be him. We have Nick, Ryan, and Charles that can do a little bit more as far as bringing it up there. And again, we lost a big piece, and to do that in the practice and a half, I told him I was really proud of him. We're 19-1.
Yeah.
We lost to Phoenix for a 24 game, and 2 days later you came into Loyal and didn't have a lot of things go right, and you had a chance to win. I mean, we had 3 possessions down by 1 possession or less, where if we make a basket, we got in the bucket to win tonight. So all in all, a pretty good win. Hopefully we get a high seed on Sunday, and we get bumped back in 2 weeks. Ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, looking forward now. You get right back at it Monday. The guys got a couple days to get things right. And Monday at home against Neillsville, a win there wraps up the conference championship. Is that more important, or is it more important just looking to the playoffs at this point?
We got a share of it. We haven't even talked about a conference championship all year.
Okay.
We just want to get better every day. And if we can win Monday and win it outright, great. And if not, we share it, great. We got to get healthy, and we got to just adjust a few things to be better in these next 3 games when Hunter's out.
All right. Well, folks, we'll be watching the Columbus Dons as they look forward to the playoffs. We wish Coach and the rest of the guys a lot of success. That's it from here. Thank you. And so moving right along now to Marshfield basketball. As we mentioned before, Marshfield traveled to Wausau West last week, battled to an overtime game. We see Emma Fehrenbach here doing a lot of the scoring in the first half at 18 of 28 points in the first half. And really, it was the Emma Fehrenbach show for that first half. And a lot of fun to watch her play. She's a real smooth mover, has a real good feel for the basketball court, and I think her teammates really looked at her to do a lot of that scoring. All right, gang, Jason Zaleski here, Zaleski Sports Show, joined by Coach Heidi Michaels. Coach, we saw Tigers put up a real good fight tonight, I thought anyway. Do go down in overtime tonight here at Wausau West, 61-59. Coach, first half really was the Emma Fehrenbach show. 18 of your 28 points came through Emma. Second half, a little bit different story. It looked at times in the second half, Coach, you were really closing off half the court, trying to get the ball into Emma. What was the thought behind that, and where you were in the game at that point?
Well, they changed their defensive scheme. You know, she was able to score kind of at will in that first half, and they changed it up in the second half and kind of put someone completely on her. It made it really hard for us to get it into her. And you know, I thought we probably forced. You know, on a number of occasions, it ended up in turnovers. And you know, give West credit. They did something different after halftime to make it really hard for us to get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, a lot of emotions after the game, playing for a conference title tonight. So obviously some of those emotions probably tied to that. Some of these girls, their last regular season game. How do you make amends for that going forward in the playoffs? How do you go right now?
Well, I mean, there's nothing you can do besides, you know, get back at it and play, and that's basketball, and that's, you know, you'd rather be playing in a game that means something than not. And so I'll never, you know, say, oh, I wish that wouldn't have happened. You know, it's basketball. That's competing. You take the good with the bad sometimes, and today West was just flat out better than us, and we're able to, you know, have that one extra possession. But we had our chances, and you got to take care of the ball. When you don't, you will not win games, and I think that is the factor that, you know, determined how we did at the end of the game, and then it's those less possessions, and they did a better job of it.
Yeah, Coach, you said it, ball control, decision making. I'm sure you'll toss and turn tonight about ball control, decision making. Again, going into the playoffs, is that something you're concerned about, something to work on now, or is this just a blip on the radar?
Well, I'd be lying to say, and I've pretty much said it after every game, we just do not value the ball at times, and when you don't, you just put yourself in bad positions. And you know, this is not different and something that we have not seen. And so it's something that we continue to harp on, we continue to talk about, but we're running out of time to fix it for the year. So, but they get back at it. We have the whole week to get ready for Chippewa, and we'll use it to that. And you got to put it behind you. That's, like I said, that's basketball. That's you come out of one season, we didn't do what we wanted to do, but you have that second opportunity to get something done.
Yeah. So, Coach, Wausau West, a lot of good athletes on the floor. As you progress in the playoffs, as we hope you do, you'll see better and better athletes as you go. So we look forward to watching you guys in the playoffs. Wish you all the best of success. Make sure to check out our Facebook page, Zaleski Sports Show, and we'll bring you more girls basketball action in the playoffs. We'll talk to you then.
All right, well, as you can see, we had a lot of fun there. We've got a special contest for our viewers. Click like on our Facebook page, Zaleski Sports Show, and then in the comments type popcorn. And we got a special gift. We saw Rachel on the screen there coming across with her popcorn. Halftime's always a fun time when we go to these games, get a little snack and a little something to eat. And I know, Rachel, a lot of people will be looking for halftime concessions this week as they attend the games, and you'll let us know what that schedule is.
Absolutely. I love concessions, and I always know which schools have great concessions and which could improve and make some better concessions.
Those shall go unnamed.
They shall go unnamed. So this coming up week here, in sports, we have the Columbus Dons are going to be playing this on the 25th at 2:30 p.m. at Altoona.
Boys. Columbus Don boys. Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you so much, honey. And then their next game is going to be played February 28th versus Bowler, and that's going to be played at home at Columbus Dons.
That's a playoff game.
Playoffs?
That's right.
I really hope that they do well. The Columbus Dons girls will be playing the 23rd at Wausau Newman at 7 p.m. The Marshfield Tiger boys are going to be playing March 3rd versus Hudson at home for their semifinals. First game of their conference. Is it the first game?
First playoff game, that's right.
All right.
For that team, yes.
Stay tuned for that. And the Marshfield girls Tigers are playing the 23rd at 7 p.m. at Chippewa. So there's this big crazy snowstorm coming, so a lot of the schedule kind of got turned around and I'm a little mixed up. However, hopefully we don't get as much snow as we're predicting, that these teams do bring a nice win in for their
So
schools.
if you were waiting for girls basketball action to be had on Friday, you need to watch tonight. Both Columbus Girls Dons and Columbus Girls Tigers play tonight at 7 o'clock. Focus on Marshfield is streaming those games, and we'll provide some updates for you too at the Zaleski Sports Show Facebook page.
Absolutely. So then we have other things coming up this weekend that are not sports related, and Jason just loves this part of the show. So go ahead, Jason, tell us what's happening.
Well, it's a lot of fun. We're a unique state. We're a fun state for sure, and there's a lot of fun stuff that happens in our area. I hope everybody got down to the Marshfield Zoo last week to wish Muncie and Boda happy birthday, their second birthday. If you haven't, there's still time for that, and there's always time to get down to the zoo. So check out the Marshfield Wildwood Zoo. Wish the bears happy birthday, wish yourself a happy birthday, and go have a good time down at the zoo. For those people looking for things to do this weekend, February 24th through the 26th is the Neilsville Winter Carnival. It's got all kinds of fun stuff going on. There's a variety and a comedy show. Gold medallion search on Saturday, the 25th. There's a polar bear plunge. So if you're not cold enough yet, you can find a way to get a little colder on Saturday. And then the Sweaty Yeti Fat Tire Bike Race takes place there too. So a lot of fun in Neilsville. Short drive from here in Marshfield. Head on over to Neilsville, have some fun, and stay warm.
All right. My name is Rachel Zaleski, and I'm your host. This is Jason Zaleski, our sports expert, and you've been watching the Zaleski Sports Show. Make sure to drop us a line via email. To our email address is zaleskisportsshow@gmail.com. We take all questions, comments, or inquiries. We also have our Zaleski Sports Show Facebook page that you can like. Jason mentioned that earlier. Feel free to drop us a line there.
Yeah, mention popcorn in the comments, and you'll have a chance for a gift.
And thank you so much for watching. You all have a safe weekend with the snow that's coming up, and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.
Go Sports!